wanted to talk to y'all today about CK3. They're announcing a bunch of stuff. Of course, their upcoming DLC Tours and Tournaments is coming out soon, revealing a lot of things in their dev diaries, which I'll cover in a video later talking about it. I am super excited about it, honestly. But what I really wanted to talk to y'all about today, what I want to see from Crusader Kings in the future. Me and my girlfriend spend a lot of time thinking about what features we'd want to see, ideas, concepts that I would love to see added, and really just like flesh it out immersion-wise, mechanics-wise, you know, like ideas. I don't know about the feasibility of any of this. I'm just kind of throwing things out there. The first idea is to do with war escalation. In Crusader Kings 3, you know how sometimes you'll declare a war for a border county for a duchy you need to form or whatever, and you need to fight a huge, massive empire for it, and then the war takes like 10 years and hundreds of thousands of people die. What we're thinking is that there should be a system that centers gained war score around the scale of the targeted demand. If you're an empire declaring war on another empire for a border county, it should be like a battle and a siege, and then assign something later that was like, fine, you take the 3 square miles of territory that you want. So smaller war goals compared to realm size would have like a low escalation. It's pretty simple in principle, like taking a county from a kingdom would be easier than taking one from a duke, which would allow for wars between kingdoms that don't kill like tens or hundreds of thousands of people. And then obviously the inverse. If it's a huge war goal, if it's for a kingdom or something, it should be harder to earn a war score. Just imagine it. You're trying to like declare war for this moderately sized kingdom or this huge kingdom, and then it's like this protracted decade-long war. The roleplay could even impact war escalation. So how much war score you would need to win a war could be even impacted by things like cultural acceptance between cultures. It could even be impacted by things like the opinions that characters have with each other, cultural traits. There's so many different pathways that you could just add a lot more flavor and immersion to the warfare in CK3, which is a huge part of the game. Our second idea for a feature, men-at-arms and knight vassal contracts. I think it would be cool if vassal contracts can include your vassals giving you men-at-arms slots, because it is weird that your men-at-arms and the amount of knights that you have aren't really dependent on how big your realm is. It's mostly just dependent on your tech, if you're an empire or a kingdom, and I think on your culture too. Then it feels like you should be able to get more men-at-arms slots depending on how big your realm actually is. It could be based on like development, it could be based on realm size, like I don't know specifically. I just think it would be a good way to actually give more incentive to large empires. Like if you're a wide empire, it just feels like you'd have way more resources to pull on to actually be able to access more qualified people, to train them into more men-at-arms, to have a professional army. If you get them in contracts, you should literally be taking them from your vassals. They have a slot less, you know, and this is what happened historically, right? It would be like a way to bridge the gap between CK3 and EU4 a bit more, because then you could actually start creating armies of professional soldiers if you've earned it. And how big your empire is determines how many professional soldiers you can have. Also note, in the upcoming expansion Tours and Tournaments, you'll now be able to station men-at-arms regiments. You could even have the men-at-arms stationed in the lands of the vassal that you take them from. And then also for knight slots too, because your knights are basically limited by, I believe, buildings and tech and cultural traits too. If you're facing a rebellion, or if you're facing a lot of smaller allied enemies versus just you as a single empire, they will basically always have more knights than you, because they'll have a more varied army from more dukes, counts, kings, whatever, who can actually in totality group together more knights than you can have on your own. So it would just be a way of like bringing some parity to that too, if you could take knight slots, like a certain number of knights from your vassals too, and maybe even like a dedicated hedge knight mechanic too. It's like instead of each knight named in an actual character, a hedge knight would kind of just add a number to your currently existing knight number. They wouldn't have to be amazing or anything like that. They could be like a tier 1 knight, right? Maybe even like an invite knight to court button from your vassals or from other kingdoms or something like that. I don't know the specifics, but just ways to balance that would be be cool. The third sort of idea concept we had was early era progression. Eras are basically unlocked specifically by what year you're in. If you could actually look at that and find a way to force it, like developing an institution in EU4 or something like that, maybe you would need a high learning level character, maybe you would need to invite some kind of scholars to your court or something like that. But there should be a way to spend a fair amount of resources to advance your technology so much that you can actually be like trigger an era early for you. I think it should be something that you need a lot of development at least in order to pay for. Also like a lot of money and upkeep in whichever other ways. Like the inspiration for us was how a lot of sources say that William the Conqueror feudalized the UK. And by that, they really mean like he gave out land in a different way and he built a lot of castles and stuff. But it is kind of true that in the UK, he sort of kickstarted feudalism early. What an innovator, right? And then there's one more thing that we would want to add to CK3. Vassal tax contracts should be seriously changed in some way. I don't know what I would even call it, but like vassal tax contracts. The problem with the vassal tax is that it always trickles up very slowly. Like it's literally feudalism, right? But it is the biggest trickle down or trickle up, I guess, ever. Every vassal pays 10% of their taxes to their liege, and depending on how many vassals you have, by the time you actually get it, like you could literally be making less money than a duke as an emperor, just because of how little of the cut you actually get. So if you have a count underneath a duke under a king as an emperor, you get, what is that, 0.1% of that or something like that? It feels like it shouldn't literally be that much of a cut to structure your territory. Again, I know that feudalism was a thing and that is literally how it worked in a lot of places, but still, it feels like there could be some type of contract you could sign with your vassals or something like that to make them give you, I don't know, half or like a third of what their vassals are paying to them. It's just kind of ridiculous that when you grow your empire that much, you do not get a tax base to go along with it. Even in feudalism, I don't know if it was really that bad. Feudalism, like, was it actually that bad? My God. Now, growing your empire is still better, right? But still, there aren't that many economic incentives to expand your empire past a certain point. It's like if you have an empire, you want to fill your vassal limit with dukes, right? Not that I want to incentivize playing wide all the time over playing tall, but still, there could be some type of balance there. Maybe even a realm law or something like that, a tech. Those are our ideas of what we'd like to see from CK3 in the future. Just some concepts. Basically all I have. Since I'm so excited about CK3, we just really wanted to make this video just to share in that excitement and think about where it could go in the future. Thank you for watching. Thank you to all the channel members too who support us every month. Thank you, thank you, thank you.